There was a time when being average was a comfortable place to stand. Back then, average meant you had a job, you brought home a paycheck, the bills were paid, expectations were modest, and no one demanded more than what was given. It felt secure, it felt normal, but that world no longer exists. Today, average has become invisible. Pause and consider that. The world has transformed, quietly at first, and then all at once. Access has exploded. Abundance surrounds us. You can learn anything, connect with anyone, purchase anything from anywhere. And in a world like that, mediocrity doesn't quietly blend in. It vanishes. Walk down a cereal aisle today. How many options stare back at you? Not 3, not 4, dozens. Type a question online and 1,000 voices rush forward with answers. That isn't simple competition. That is a tidal wave. And when the tide surges in, the average is carried away. Excellence is no longer exceptional. It is the baseline. If you want to be noticed, selected, rewarded, simply being okay is no longer enough. Think about a restaurant experience. If the food is average and the service merely acceptable, do you rush home to tell your friends? Probably not. By morning, you can barely remember the name. Only the remarkable leaves a mark. Only excellence is remembered. And this isn't limited to restaurants. It's everywhere. Every industry, every company, every city. Excellence has become the new minimum standard. The question is no longer whether you are safe in the middle. The question is whether anyone will even see you there. Years ago, a firm handshake and a positive attitude might have kept you afloat. Today, the world moves too quickly. Opportunities pass before you recognize them. What once qualified as good enough no longer qualifies at all. People ask, is it fair that the standard keeps rising? Fair or not, it is reality. The rules have shifted. If you cling to average thinking, you become invisible, present yet unnoticed. You fade into the background while the world moves forward without you. There is an old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Today, it is the exceptional wheel that gets replaced first by something better, faster, smarter. Do not fall behind because you chose the comfort of the middle. The greatest danger is not failing at something ambitious. The greatest danger is disappearing because you never stood out in the first place. The safest place is no longer the middle. The safest place is at the edge, stretching further, growing stronger, showing up as your highest version. Average is no longer risky. It is irrelevant. The world does not notice average. The world rewards excellence. Average does not even make the list. So consider this carefully. Where in your life have you settled for good enough? Where have you mistaken average for safety? Because safety in this new world is the greatest illusion. It no longer exists. Only excellence endures. If you want to be seen, if you want to be chosen, if you want your name remembered, decide now. Average is finished. Excellence is required. And that is where everything begins. Here is why. The economics of excellence operate differently. If there is one thing the marketplace values, it is value, not effort. Value, not hours. Results. The world does not line up to pay for average. It rewards distinction, and it rewards it generously. Look around. Have you noticed how the very best in any field earn multiples rather than increments above the rest? The top is never rewarded with just a little more. Not 10%, not 20%. Sometimes 10 times as much. Why? Not luck, not coincidence, value. When you rise above the common level, doors appear that you never knew existed. Average effort produces average returns, but today's average no longer pays what it once did. It barely covers the rising costs of living, the rising costs of opportunity, the rising costs of staying in the game. The world moves forward. Average falls behind. It does not stand still. Consider the concert pianist. The finest performers do not wait for invitations. They set their price. The same is true for the world-class surgeon, the championship coach, the leader in any field. The best do not merely earn more. They multiply opportunity. They attract attention, resources, and relationships. It is as though the world gathers its rewards and places them at the feet of those who choose to become uncommon. This is not about luck. It is not about being born with a rare gift. It is about developing yourself until you cannot be ignored. The world is fair in one essential way. It pays for what it values. And excellence is rare enough to command attention. Ask yourself, where does the significant reward go? Where do the opportunities appear? Not to the average performer working average hours with average habits. They go to the person who stands out by what they can do, how well they do it, and how consistently they deliver. The world rewards those who make themselves indispensable. There is a story of a plumber called to repair a factory machine. He walks in, taps a single pipe, and the machine springs back to life. The bill is $1,000. The owner protests. It only took 5 minutes. The plumber replies, "It took me 20 years to know where to tap." That is what the marketplace pays for. Not time, but wisdom, skill, and excellence. Today, the cost of being average continues to rise. As expenses increase, as choices expand, as expectations grow, the returns for average shrink. Yesterday's skills cannot fund tomorrow's life. If you want multiplied rewards, you must deliver multiplied value. So ask yourself, are you building excellence or simply trying to get by? Are you sharpening your skills, strengthening your mindset, expanding your knowledge so that when opportunity appears, you are the obvious choice? Or are you waiting for the old rewards of average to return? Here is a difficult truth. The world never moves backward. The only path to earning more, having more, becoming more, is to give more, to become more valuable than you were yesterday. That is the economics of excellence. And it is available to anyone willing to commit to the work. If you want to change your income, change your value. If you want new opportunities, become someone the marketplace cannot ignore. Do not wish for life to be easier. Wish to be stronger. The reward is not for effort alone. The reward is for distinction. That is the reality of today. And that is the advantage of stepping out of the average crowd and into the ranks of the excellent. The best receive multiples, not by chance, but by value. Yet there is another side that must not be ignored. There is a hidden cost to staying the same. Many people believe that doing enough will preserve what they have, that continuing the same actions will produce the same results. But the world no longer works that way. Doing just enough does not hold life in place. It begins a quiet, gradual decline. Skills expire, habits weaken, relevance fades, often without notice. The cost of average is not only missing greater opportunities, it is the compounded decline that occurs when you remain still while everything else advances. The world continues to turn. Technology advances. New ideas emerge. New people rise. New methods replace old ones. None of it pauses for anyone. If you do not grow, you fall behind. And sometimes you do not realize it until the distance has already formed. There was a time when the fax machine represented cutting-edge technology. Today, many people under 30 have never used one. Some have never even seen one. That is how quickly relevance disappears. The same happens to skills and habits. What was once valuable can become a burden if held too long. And this is the trap. Average feels safe. It feels comfortable. There's a deceptive sense of stability in repeating what has always worked. Yet comfort is a slow poison. It whispers that you are secure while quietly you are slipping backward. You see it in health. You see it in finances. You see it in relationships. Ignore your health long enough and decline compounds. Skip a workout, miss a few meals, and nothing seems different at first. But continue long enough and the hidden cost arrives. Energy fades. Strength weakens. Opportunities pass by. Financially, the pattern is the same. Spend as you always have. Save just a little. And the numbers barely shift from day to day. But months pass, years pass, and the compound effect of doing just enough appears. Falling behind for too long makes catching up nearly impossible. Even relationships follow this law. Average effort means checking in only when convenient, saying, "I love you" on special occasions. The hidden cost is that one day the connection has thinned or disappeared, and it requires 10 times the effort to repair what consistent excellence could have preserved. The most unsettling truth is that decline gives no warning. It does not knock. It does not announce itself. It is silent, gradual, and by the time it is visible, it is already expensive. Many people realize this too late. They wake up scrambling to recover ground, only to discover that the world has already moved forward. So ask yourself, where are you doing just enough? Where have you settled, hoping stability would shield you from change? Because the hidden cost of staying the same is always greater than it appears. Decay never asks permission. It never waits for readiness. The encouraging truth is that this law works in reverse as well. Consistently operating just a little above average can move mountains over time. Small daily disciplines carry compounding rewards. That is how slow decline transforms into steady progress. That is how the trap is escaped. So today, do not only ask what average is costing you now, ask what it will cost next year, in 5 years, in 10. What is invisible today becomes undeniable tomorrow. Average does not protect you, it postpones the bill. Eventually, the cost arrives. The wise exchange comfort for growth, stability for progress, and average for the remarkable. That leads to the next shift, moving from comfort to competitiveness. This is where many people lose their way. They believe the goal is comfort, secure a job, secure a home, arrange life neatly, and finally relax. But comfort has become the adversary of progress. Comfort is where ambition quietly falls asleep. Those who settle for average pursue ease. They measure their days by how effortless things feel. They wait for the right time, the right mood, the perfect moment before acting. Yet the world does not pause until you feel ready. Life advances whether you are prepared or not. Rewards do not wait for comfort. They appear when action appears. Exceptional individuals pursue challenge. Discomfort becomes a signal. Time to stretch, time to learn, time to move beyond the familiar. To become uncommon, you must learn to feel at ease with unease. Growth always lives just beyond the boundary of comfort. In the early days of building a career, each day can present something unfamiliar, uncertainty, pressure, doubt. Yet growth emerges only through challenge. Every new skill, every opportunity asks you to trade comfort for the chance to compete. Some people say they are not naturally competitive, yet life itself is competitive. Opportunities are not scarce, commitment is. Someone will secure the next opportunity, earn the next advancement, build the next success. The question is whether it will be you. You do not need to be ruthless, but you must be attentive. The real competition exists between who you are and who you could become. Are you advancing or drifting? Are you embracing new challenges or waiting for the familiar to return? When your mindset shifts from comfort to competitiveness, perception changes. Problems become puzzles. Obstacles become opportunities. Setbacks become lessons. Growth becomes more appealing than ease. You stop wishing for life to become easier and begin strengthening yourself instead. The world does not reward readiness. It rewards adaptability. Those who can adjust, learn, and stretch become valuable regardless of what tomorrow brings. Observe closely. The fastest learners and most adaptable individuals rise the highest. The world no longer waits for those who move slowly. It rewards those who move, adjust, and continue forward. If you have been waiting to feel comfortable, prepared, or certain, understand this: that feeling rarely arrives. But opportunity is present. Challenge is present. Growth is present, waiting for you to exchange comfort for competitiveness. Ask yourself, am I seeking comfort or challenge? Am I preparing for change or hoping it never comes? The world rewards those who step forward, endure difficulty, and continue advancing. Comfort can no longer be your anchor. The new world belongs to the competitive, the curious, the courageous. Seek challenge and progress will follow. Yet even challenge has changed. The skill gap is real. If there was ever a time when coasting seemed possible, that time has passed. Technology evolves rapidly. Information travels instantly. Each day introduces something new that tests knowledge and challenges thinking. The pace of change reveals who is learning and who is merely holding on. There was a time when mastering a single skill could sustain an entire career. That is no longer true. Some roles that existed 10 years ago have disappeared. Some skills that once set people apart now barely open the door. The question is not whether you know enough. The question is whether you continue to learn. The moment learning stops is the moment decline begins. The distance between those who grow and those who coast widens every year. The world rewards those who invest in themselves, those who study, practice, experiment, and adapt. Stagnation has become the greatest risk. There was once a time when someone could remain in a role for years, doing slightly more or slightly less without notice. Today, visibility is everywhere. The world can see what you can do and what you choose not to learn. Lack of improvement becomes obvious. Falling behind becomes visible. In every field, those who read, practice, and refine their abilities continue to advance. Their value expands year after year. Those who believe they have done enough often discover they have been surpassed. Not suddenly, but gradually, until the gap becomes undeniable. Continuous growth is the new form of security. The strongest protection available today is not stored in a document or vault. It lives in your ability to learn, adapt, and grow. When you become a lifelong student of your own potential, obsolescence loses its power. Your skills become a passport to new environments, a foundation for new opportunities. It is easy to believe you have learned enough, but the moment that belief takes hold, the world advances without you. Each day spent standing still widens the distance. Each skill postponed, each habit delayed, is an invitation for the world to outpace you. Those who succeed today ask different questions. What more can I learn? Where can I improve? Which new skill, idea, or connection can make me stronger tomorrow than I am today? The world is accelerating forward. Don't stand on the sidelines watching the world race forward. Step into it. So what is the lesson? Do not fear the skill gap. Close it. Do not resent those advancing ahead of you. Advance with them. Do not cling to old knowledge at the expense of new growth. Invest in yourself, and you will always have value to offer, no matter how quickly the world evolves. Remember this clearly. Stagnation is the greatest risk in the world today. Movement, learning, curiosity, these are your new forms of security. This is how you become indispensable year after year. And here is how you stay ahead. Make standards your strategy. Most people wait until change is forced upon them. They wait for the warning, the crisis, the moment of urgency before they raise their standards. But by then, the cost is far greater. Excellence you choose for yourself is always less painful than change imposed from outside. The world does not whisper forever. It begins quietly. A missed opportunity here, a shrinking reward there. Ignore the signals long enough and the whisper becomes a shout. Suddenly you are behind, scrambling, wishing you had acted sooner. That is why you must raise your standards before the world demands it. If you want to avoid the shock of sudden change, become your own evaluator. Do not wait for someone else to point out your weaknesses. Do not wait for circumstances to move forward without you. Ask yourself daily, what can I improve? Where can I be more disciplined? Where can I raise the bar before someone else raises it for me? Many people view standards as a burden, but high standards are not a weight. They are a strategy. They do not make life harder. They make life smoother. When you set your own expectations higher than anyone else would, you take control. You are not surprised. You are not desperate. You are prepared before the challenge arrives. Notice something about highly successful individuals. They do not need supervision. They are their own strictest judges. They do not wait for feedback. They seek it. They constantly search for the one adjustment that will move them forward. That is why they are rarely caught off guard when change arrives. The world rewards those who lead themselves. When you command your own standards, you stop reacting and start directing. You set the pace. You move ahead because you are not waiting. You are already in motion. Here is the hidden advantage. Excellence you impose on yourself costs less. You decide when to act, how to act, and what to improve. But if you wait, the world makes those decisions for you, and the cost is never gentle. So ask yourself, are your standards protecting you or exposing you? Are you waiting to be pushed or are you pulling yourself forward? Those who lead themselves, those who raise their standards early and consistently, remain ready, flexible, and in control. Do not wait for crisis to become your teacher. Make excellence your habit. Raise your standards not because you must, but because you choose to. That is how you stay ahead. That is how you become someone the world turns toward, not someone it leaves behind. And now the true advantage, discipline. Many people rely on motivation. They wait for the feeling, the mood, the surge of inspiration. That is why so many begin strongly and fade quickly. Motivation is temporary, a spark that flashes and disappears. Discipline is different. Discipline is the steady fire that never goes out. Excellence does not appear when you feel ready. It appears because you have trained yourself to act, whether you feel ready or not. Consistency replaces the illusion of talent. Talent without discipline is wasted potential. Discipline without talent becomes unstoppable. This pattern repeats itself endlessly. The individual with ordinary talent but relentless discipline will outperform the brilliant but inconsistent individual almost every time. Why? Because success is built on repeated action, day after day, small steps accumulating into extraordinary results. And discipline is what sustains those steps. Consider the contrast. Motivation encourages, it excites, it lifts temporarily. Discipline instructs, it appears daily, it dismisses excuses, it demands practice when quitting feels easier. That is the real difference. In a world where average disappears, discipline separates the merely capable from the exceptional. Discipline means working when it is difficult, practicing when others rest, repeating effort until mastery becomes natural. It is quiet, steady, and often unnoticed, but its results are undeniable. It transforms excellence from chance into certainty. You can recognize the difference immediately. Those who depend on motivation shine briefly, then fade. Those who depend on discipline build steadily, layer by layer, until they create something enduring. That is why leaders, innovators, and champions rely on routines and rituals others overlook. They understand that habits outlast feelings. Here is the truth. Talent alone will not carry you. Motivation alone will not sustain you. Discipline guarantees progress. It ensures that over time, you rise above average simply because you refuse to stop. While others wait for inspiration, you continue building results. It is not complicated. It is not dramatic. It is the simple decision to act today and to repeat that action tomorrow and again the next day and the next. Over months and years, the accumulation becomes undeniable. That is how excellence becomes the standard. That is how momentum carries you beyond average into influence, opportunity, and achievement. So do not wait for motivation. Do not rely on feeling ready. Build discipline. Make it your habit. Let it guide your actions, your growth, your direction. In a world where average is invisible, discipline makes excellence inevitable. Yet discipline is not built alone. You cannot remain average among people who expect greatness. Environment shapes outcome, always. It either elevates you or erodes you. There is no middle ground. The people around you, the places you spend time, the conversations you engage in, they shape your standards, your habits, your expectations. In many ways, you reflect your surroundings. When you are surrounded by ambition, energy transfers, your thinking expands, your actions strengthen, your standards rise, often without conscious effort. But when you remain among those satisfied with the ordinary, the pull is just as strong. Habits soften, ambition fades, standards quietly lower. Average rarely announces itself. It spreads subtly, like water shaping stone over time. It reshapes expectations until mediocrity feels normal. Those who pursue excellence understand this influence. They choose their environment deliberately. They place themselves among people who challenge them, inspire them, and expect more. They fill their time with ideas worth learning and habits worth adopting. They do not wait for motivation. They enter environments where excellence is the norm. And gradually, their mindset, behavior, and results rise to match that standard. Consider this carefully. Influence is constant, whether you notice it or not. There was a time when being average was a comfortable place to stand. Back then, average meant you had a job, you brought home a paycheck, the bills were paid, expectations were modest, and no one demanded more than what was given. It felt secure. It felt normal. But that world no longer exists. Today, average has become invisible. Pause and consider that. The world has transformed, quietly at first, and then all at once. Access has exploded. Abundance surrounds us. You can learn anything, connect with anyone, purchase anything from anywhere, and in a world like that, mediocrity does not quietly blend in. It vanishes. Walk down a cereal aisle today. How many options stare back at you? Not 3, not 4, dozens. Type a question online and 1,000 voices rush forward with answers. That is not simple competition. That is a tidal wave, and when the tide surges in, the average is carried away. Excellence is no longer exceptional. It is the baseline. If you want to be noticed, selected, rewarded, simply being okay is no longer enough. Think about a restaurant experience. If the food is average and the service merely acceptable, do you rush home to tell your friends? Probably not. By morning, you can barely remember the name. Only the remarkable leaves a mark. Only excellence is remembered. And this is not limited to restaurants. It is everywhere. Every industry, every company, every city. Excellence has become the new minimum standard. The question is no longer whether you are safe in the middle. The question is whether anyone will even see you there. Years ago, a firm handshake and a positive attitude might have kept you afloat. Today, the world moves too quickly. Opportunities pass before you recognize them. What once qualified as good enough no longer qualifies at all. Fair or not, reality has shifted. If you cling to average thinking, you become invisible, present, yet unnoticed. You fade into the background while the world moves forward without you. The greatest danger is not failing at something ambitious. The greatest danger is disappearing because you never stood out in the first place. The safest place is no longer the middle. The safest place is at the edge, stretching further, growing stronger, showing up as your highest version. Average is not risky anymore. It is irrelevant. The world does not notice average. The world rewards excellence. Average does not even make the list. So consider this carefully. Where in your life have you settled for good enough? Where have you mistaken average for safety? Because safety, in this new world, is the greatest illusion. Only excellence endures. If you want to be seen, if you want to be chosen, if you want your name remembered, decide now. Average is finished. Excellence is required. Here is why. The economics of excellence operate differently. The marketplace values one thing above all: value, not effort. Value, not hours. Results. The world does not line up to pay for average. It rewards distinction, and it rewards it generously. Notice how the very best in any field earn multiples rather than increments. Not 10% more, not 20% more, sometimes 10 times more. Why? Not luck, not coincidence, value. When you rise above what is common, doors appear that you never knew existed. Average effort produces average returns. But today's average no longer pays what it once did. It struggles to meet the rising costs of living, opportunity, and participation in the modern world. The world moves forward. Average falls behind. Consider the finest performers in any field. They do not simply earn more, they multiply opportunity. They attract attention, resources, and connections. It is as though the world gathers its rewards and places them at the feet of those who choose to become uncommon. This is not about rare talent. It is about deliberate development. The world is fair in one essential way. It pays for what it values. And excellence is rare enough to command attention. The marketplace rewards those who make themselves indispensable. It does not pay for time. It pays for wisdom, skill, and mastery. Today, the cost of being average continues to rise. Yesterday's skills cannot fund tomorrow's life. If you want multiplied rewards, you must deliver multiplied value. The only way to earn more, have more, and become more is to give more, to become more valuable than you were yesterday. That is the economics of excellence. But there is another side. There is a hidden cost to staying the same. Doing just enough does not preserve stability. It begins a quiet decline. Skills expire, habits weaken, relevance fades. The cost of average is not only missed opportunity, it is compounded loss. Decline is silent. It does not announce itself. By the time it is visible, it is already expensive. Yet this law works in reverse. Consistently operating just above average creates powerful growth over time. Small daily disciplines produce compounding progress. Average does not protect you. It postpones the bill. This leads to the next shift, from comfort to competitiveness. Comfort has become the enemy of progress. It is where ambition falls asleep. Those who settle for average pursue ease. They wait for the right moment, the right feeling, the perfect condition. But life does not pause until you feel ready. Rewards appear when action appears. Exceptional individuals pursue challenge. Discomfort becomes a signal for growth. To become uncommon, you must become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Life itself is competitive. Opportunities are not scarce. Commitment is. The real competition exists between who you are and who you could become. When you shift from comfort to competitiveness, perception changes. Problems become puzzles, obstacles become opportunities. Growth becomes more appealing than ease. The world rewards adaptability. The fastest learners rise highest. Those who move, adjust, and continue forward are the ones who advance. The skill gap is real. Coasting is no longer possible. Technology evolves rapidly. Information moves instantly. The pace of change reveals who is learning and who is merely holding on. The question is not whether you know enough. The question is whether you continue to learn. The moment learning stops is the moment decline begins. Continuous growth is the new form of security. Your ability to learn, adapt, and grow is your greatest protection against becoming obsolete. Do not watch the world advance from the sidelines. Step forward with it. Close the gap. Invest in yourself. Raise your standards before the world forces you to. Self-imposed excellence is always less painful than imposed change. Become your own evaluator. Ask daily, what can I improve? Where can I grow? Where can I raise the bar? High standards are not a burden. They are a strategy. They place you in control. They prepare you before challenge arrives. Discipline is the force that sustains excellence. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. Excellence appears not when you feel ready, but when you act consistently regardless of how you feel. Talent without discipline fades. Discipline without talent prevails. Success is built on repeated action, day after day, step after step. Discipline transforms effort into certainty. Yet discipline is not built in isolation. Environment shapes outcome. It either elevates you or erodes you. The people around you, the ideas you absorb, the culture you immerse yourself in, all shape your standards and expectations. Influence is constant and powerful. Comfortable environments breed mediocrity. Challenging environments cultivate growth. Surround yourself with those who inspire, challenge, and expect more. Success is not only about effort or talent, it is about exposure, who you learn from, who you emulate, who shapes your thinking. Choose your environment wisely. Your future depends on it. And now consider how success is measured in this new world. The old question was, am I good enough? The new question is, am I improving? Skills, habits, and knowledge depreciate unless continually developed. Growth has become the true measure of performance. You can be good today and forgotten tomorrow. Yesterday's victories cannot carry you forward. Progress is the only reliable indicator that you are keeping pace with change. When you measure yourself by growth, every day becomes an opportunity. Every challenge becomes instruction. Every setback becomes feedback. Growth is within your control. You may not control luck or timing, but you control effort, learning, and choice. Ask yourself each day, did I learn something new? Did I improve something I already know? Did I move one step closer to who I want to become? If yes, you are measuring correctly. If not, recalibrate, because growth is the new currency, and every day without growth is a missed investment. When you adopt this measure, comparison changes. You no longer compete for applause or titles that fade. You compete with the person you were yesterday. And that is where real progress begins.